I was in high school, did not have the opportunity. I didn't have the opportunity to occasionally grumble about having to take a Hebrew class and a Judaic studies class and having your art class have to go through a Jewish lens. I went to a high school where I was concerned, like many of the boys here also, with their cars and with girls and other things like that. And I had the freedom to do things like have my first job at Honey Baked Hams. So I was not always coming from a place, that's like this. And I found myself later in college stressed out and kind of wondering what life is about, taking anthropology classes and seeing people in different cultures around the world, and realized that I had been neglecting my own upbringing. And so I went to a program called Brandeis Collegiate Institute. At the time it was called Brandeis Camp Institute, BCI, up at Brandeis, and Dr. Powell was the director of the program at the time. And one of the kinds of things that we had to do there, we had an interdenominational panel. This is all lead into Bishvat stuff. This interdenominational panel had an Orthodox, conservative, Reconstructionist, and Reform rabbi. For the 10th graders that were here, the Orthodox rabbi was Rabbi Danny Landis. And you saw the passion of that man and how he spoke. And when that interdenominational panel went, Danny Landis's veins on his forehead were popping out and there was blood spurting out of them. And the person who was the Reconstructionist one, their tallest turned into wings and they were flying away. And Danny Landis is arguing about why halakha is the only way and why God gave the Torah to Moses at Sinai, and then the Reconstructionist is off in this other land of Judaism as a civilization, and the Reformed Jews talking about, well, we've got to adapt, and conservative is kind of in the middle, and they were arguing, and it was not a pretty picture, and I walked out of there saying, what, am I supposed to pick? I'm supposed to choose, like, which one of these things is for me? I'm exploring my identity. What does it mean? And I was confused. I didn't know what to do. And I decided at that point I was into art. I wanted to go to Israel. I found this program in Israel, and it was like a kibbutz program. I went to the kibbutz. It was kind of like neutral. When I was on the kibbutz, I would go around Israel, and I saw like Israel was like strong. They were like, this was Israel. And I started thinking, and I had a revelation. It really was a revelation. It actually happened at Sinai. I was in Sinai, in Dahab. And I had this vision there that what was happening with all these different denominations in Judaism, these petty, maybe they weren't petty, they were very passionate rivalries, that I started seeing that each of them served a different function within the structure of what really seemed to be coming together as me in my mind as an organism. And it was as if those people who were in the text were going into the roots. And they were following the letters of the law down into the roots and following every letter to understand why in the yeshiva where I was staying for free in Jerusalem, because they had a free place to stay, why they tore their toilet paper on Shabbat prior to Shabbat, because you're not allowed to tear on Shabbat. And at first my inclination was to say this is ridiculous, but then I asked a question, so they take me into the text. And I only see the black hat and the beard, but I go on a journey into the roots. And then I realize that there's a force of life holding and grounding this tree. And there's another force that's pulling it up into the light. Ideas, philosophy, culture, art, science, everything external to that which roots the tree, we grow toward. And when you can grow toward the light of new ideas and other culture and civilization beyond, and then reroot it in the tree, in the roots, then the tree begins to grow. So you have here, in my mind, the roots in the ground. Israel was the strong trunk, battle-scarred bark exterior force of the tree. And the branches, the Reconstructionist branch, the Reform branch, Reconstructionist branch, all these different branches reaching to light. And then I started realizing that my life was like this. I lived for the last 20 years with this knowledge that I am a tree Jew, that I go into the text, that I embrace Israel, that I reach to the light. And any time I would see any kind of dilemma or any kind of challenge within Judaism, I would apply it through this diagnostic tool of the tree of Jewish people, and the problem would be solved. The problem of patrilineal descent, is it okay in the Reform branch? Well, they say it's okay, they say it's not. Maybe it's a mutation in the branches that the Orthodox are not going to accept because they're doing what they're supposed to do by going into the text in that way. And they're doing what they're supposed to do by reaching to the light and trying to reconcile. One time I was at an event where there was a woman who decided to change the words of the Torah while she was reading her Torah portion. And the Orthodox rabbi freaked out. So Brandeis also freaked out. Like, you can't do that. And I'm sitting there, and this is outside, and the hills, the trees are blowing. It was a windy day, and I thought, wow, look at those branches blowing. Is that branch going to break off that tree? It didn't break off. The rabbi argued down in the roots, and up into the branches, she went. The tree of Jewish peoplehood is my way of understanding Jewish life. And today what we're going to do is activate the consciousness of pluralism. We are a pluralistic community. Your Judaic studies classes are the roots. The Israel advocacy is the chunk, and the Israel chips is the chunk. The Jewish civilizations is the arts. All the things that you learn in the light is the arts. We are that living tree, and we're going to come together in the form of the tree, and I'm going to show you the model that's going to happen right now. So you're sitting in the roots right now, and you're on these texts that have been written by the 9th graders. And here, I'm going to play it real quick so you can see. Here's where you're all sitting in the sanctuary. You have leaders. Stand up for a second, leaders. Show everybody who you are. So there are leaders in the room who are going to start you on this journey. And then you're going to go like this. And you're going to become a tree. Look at the screen. Because in the other room, there's all kinds of projects and activities. Here's what I'm asking of you, a simple thing. And here's the reason for it. Here's the Jewish teaching. On Tisha B'Av, in the middle of the summer, when the roots are dry, and your roots are dry because you're off having a good time and you're playing and you're dizzy in the light in the summer. So when the roots are dry in the summer and you're not in school and you're not challenged to drink in the light, or drinking from the light of the roots, we commemorate Tisha B'Av. And the idea of Tisha B'Av is you're not supposed to talk to anybody. It's a commemoration of destruction attributable to sinat chinam, to the petty hatreds of one Jew toward another. Tu Bishvat, in my mind, is the tikkun, the repair, the healing of Tisha B'Av. Because Tisha B'Av is about destruction of the temple. And Tu Bishvat, in its original origins, was really a tax day. It wasn't Earth Day, and that's nice that we have Jewish Earth Day and that we have planting trees in Israel. But Tu Bishvat, in its origins, is about taxing the farmers to give food to the Levites to serve the temple. So Tu B'Shvat is actually a holiday in its origins that's about serving the temple. And the way that we serve the temple is that we have the tikkun, the repair of sinat chinam, the opposite of the petty hatreds. So we're going to get up and we're going to flow. We're going to become a living flow of energy through this program space. Hold on, don't say anything. I'm serious. This has never been done before. In the history of the world, Jews have never demonstrated unity in the form of a tree this way. And I believe in the mystical idea within Judaism that when our energy flows by being in this room and reading texts on these benches, for those who hear, they'll hear. Those who don't hear, they won't. Some people are listening to me because they know that what I'm saying is very important and it's big on a big level. When you're walking in here and you read these texts on these roots that the 9th graders created, and then you go through there to the tree to the trunk, and you reach up into the branches, your energy will be connecting, and you will be talking and expressing yourself joyously. Here's all that I ask. When you are in one of the spaces, at least for part of the time that you're in the space, put your consciousness in the space. Realize when you're in the roots that you are in the text and you're the Torah. When you walk by the Torah, say the Shema, and then say the Ve'ahavta as you walk along the way. And when you're in the trunk, do some of the Israeli activities that are in there. And when you're in the branches, read some of the quotes. You don't have to read all of them. It's not a museum. You don't have to read everything. Please activate the consciousness of pluralism so we can affect tikkun in the higher realms. Because if we do this, who knows what the result will be. One other thing. If you decide to leave the program, if for some reason you decide to leave, this is the way you do it. You go up into the branches of the tree and you blow away like a leaf. And if you decide to stand around, realize that you're being dead wood. And if you want to come back in a tree, become dust and come back in the roots and flow through the branches again. Play it.